is ATL Day Ones, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta. And it starts now.
It is ATL Day Ones with Jarvis and Tenitra. That person you just saw do that mad dash right there is my co-host, my partner, my A1, and my ATL Day One, Tenitra Batiste. How are you, ma'am?
Running from one job to another, but I'm good.
No doubt about it. We are running to you here on a Tuesday. We got some good stuff on board for you. We got our picks for the second round pick for the Atlanta Falcons. We'll be picking that. We will let you know who we are going to take on the ATL Day One mock draft here as we take you all the way up to April 28th. It's going down. Yesterday, we talked about Jermaine Johnson, and that's my favorite pick, and I got a good one for you today, T. I'm super excited. And also, we're going to do a deep dive into the Hawks versus Heat tonight in Miami. Hopefully they can bounce back. We'll talk about how they possibly could bounce back tonight in Miami. And last but not least, and for the culture, man. Yeah, Pittsburgh Maulers, USFL. We'll just leave it at that. But before we get to all that, we want to definitely thank you for, liking and subscribing to our YouTube channel. We ask that you continue to do so. And also check us out on audio platforms. Wherever you download your podcast, that's where we can be found. And we definitely, and also don't forget, make sure you leave us a comment and give us a good review. Leave us a 5-star review. I like 5 stars. I might not like 5-star recruiting conversations, but I like 5-star reviews. So yeah, but T, there is like I said, mentioned before, we started off with the number 8 overall pick yesterday. Mm-hmm. I know you talked about what you didn't want it to be, and I definitely understand that with no offensive players.
Right. Unless it's the O-line.
Unless it's O-line. Unless you're building that foundation. We believe in foundations on this show. That's for sure. And I think that when you think about this second round pick, I think I have a little leniency, and you'll see what my pick is when it comes to picking someone on the offensive side of the football. But I want to start with you. Come on with it. What you got for me at number 43?
Now, at 43, I'm a little more liberal. More liberal in giving some sway on offense, but still looking for defensive players, especially if something goes awry at that number 8 pick. So I have 2 guys on the defensive side of the ball and one who is kind of my honorable mention on offense. So I want to make sure I get these names right as well, because in my head I kept saying one name and I'm like, no, that's not his name. That's not his name. So right. I'm intrigued. I'm going to go with intrigued.
Okay.
By the edge out of USC, Drake Jackson. Okay. I'm intrigued by him because I feel like, there's a consistency there, right? And when we talk about the fact that nobody was in double-digit sacks last year for the Falcons, and you look at what he was able to do in terms of sacks, right? Not even in the conversation. It seems like he really would be somebody who could give them some instant support and some instant help, especially in that area of affecting the quarterback, right? So that's one of them. That's one of them for me. Now, I know yesterday I was talking about this in terms of seeing even a lot of people saying, hey, let's go with a safety for the first round. Did not want to do that because I thought the secondary was okay, especially at corner. However, if you happen to have a safety that's available, like Jaquan Brisker, might be okay with that. With that. And the reason I say that is because when I look at the corners, obviously with A.J. Terrell, and with Casey Hayward, I'm a little more confident in their ability to give the Falcons something.
Isaiah Oliver back for a year.
Exactly.
As well, so,
right. And even
it makes sense.
Exactly. So when you look at Isaiah Oliver, you feel a little bit more confident. But then the only thing that gave me a little bit of pause there is, of course, the fact that we still have a second rounder for the Falcons at safety from last year. and we're still waiting to see what Richie Grant is going to be. So that's the
Yes.
only thing that gave me
Yes,
just a
Lord.
little bit of pause. Right. And even
Yeah,
Avery
it makes
Williams,
sense.
and Avery Williams, of course, did more on special teams, but still we want to see what he can bring to the table. So that's why I said he's kind of my second person. Now, I know I said three people, but I'm gonna say this because you never know where this person's gonna land. If okay, I love to get names right, but if I get this one wrong, don't kill me. If
Okay.
Arnold Ebiketie from
Advocated?
Penn State
Penn State?
happens to
Yeah.
be available,
Okay.
I kind of want to wait to see if he's available third round, but depends on which boards you look at. Some boards have him going up in the second round, and some boards have him going late in the second round. Still like him because you and I talked about this before as well. With Dean Pease, yes, the base is a 3-4, but on the
Yeah.
same token, he'll employ whatever he needs to employ based on what the offense is giving him along with his personnel. We know that. So that's why I like him, because he can line up in a 2, a 3, or 4 and be effective. And here's my honorable mention. And this is the only honorable mention on day 2 that you're going to get from me on offense. And that is, if they were to go with a QB and if Desmond Ridder happened to be available, I would be okay somewhat with that. I'll leave it alone.
Okay, all right. So yeah, you gave me a lot. So I like Ebiketie. But there's a guy that I really like, but you may be able to get him later on in the rounds. And he played, and he was Ebiketie's teammate as well.
Mhm.
His name is Jesse Lukita.
Yes.
He's a dog.
Yeah.
That's the mentality I like, and I like to draft as such when I'm playing with putting on my GM hat. But I think you make a good point with the whole Drake Jackson piece, right? Because there's a lot of value in the edge on the edge in this draft. And I think all the way up to the maybe in third or fourth rounds, I think you're going to be able to get some good value for guys who can touch the quarterback. And Lord knows the Falcons lead as many as those guys can get. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, okay. So you know how we were all anti-offense in the first round, right?
Right.
Super anti. Like actually, my hell no pick was Garrett Wilson. I'm sorry, Garrett Wilson for the wide receiver out of Ohio State. So
and I agreed.
yes. So my hell yeah pick for the Atlanta Falcons. If the Falcons draft this dude, I will be pretty doggone excited.
Okay.
And that's wide receiver George Pickens out of UGA, Athens, Georgia. Go ahead and walk it up to the podium. If he's sitting right there, go ahead and take him. Here's why. Here's why I say take him. Because if this guy doesn't get injured, he's a first-round pick.
Yes.
Because when you think about the type of playmaking ability that he has, the super aggressiveness. Now he had some temper issues, and specifically in the Georgia Tech game, and temperature can get a little hot there in that matchup, So, and I think that but what he brings to the field is the explosiveness, the aggressiveness, and that want to. Notice the theme here in the guys that I'm picking. They got that want to. They got a little dog in them. So those are the type of guys that I would like to have. But yeah, I'm definitely going with George Pickens. If he's sitting there available at 43.
Yes.
I am going to go run to the podium and give that card to Roger Goodell, saying, "Hey man, go ahead and mention that for you, boy. I appreciate you." Oh yeah, and
I'd be okay with that. I'd be okay with that as your hell yeah. With Drake as my hell yeah. That I'm good with that. With that wide receiver at that point in the draft.
There's a lot of talent in the wide receiver position for sure.
So
All
much.
right,
Yeah.
like last night, Freddie Freeman is in LA, welcomes the Atlanta Braves back to whatever stadium it is out there in LA. And he had the welcome committee out, right? Because, he hit a home run in his first at bat.
Yes.
And, against Oscar Noah, and that was his first home run as a Dodger, in a Dodger uniform. And I think that, I think Freddie did exactly what he wanted to do by welcoming the Braves out to LA last night.
Oh, no question. And when you think about the crazy of it, that he is the first former NL MVP to go in his first at bat and hit a home run against his former team, like that's mind blowing. That's you can't even draw that up in a Hollywood script if you tried. So yeah,
Right.
what Freddie Freeman was able to do last night, it was just a cool thing. Heck, the Dodgers would have been happy if he would have gotten a single or a triple because
Right.
he got a double last week and they gave him a standing ovation. So, but
He's a double
Freddie
machine,
Freeman,
though.
right?
That's his thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but Freddie Freeman being as deep in the order as he is, and when you look at the depth of what the Dodgers are, who they are, and what they were able to do with getting 7 runs, and they're run producing, and that's something I wanted to hit on as well. The fact that when you look at what the Braves do, and of course it was a 7-4 loss last night, and it looked almost similar to what you see all the time, solo shots from them,
Right.
not a lot of runners getting on base, and not a lot of runners getting advanced. That's a problem when you literally have scored like 15 runs and 14 of them have been on solo shots.
Right.
That's a challenge. So what Freddie Freeman was able to do just to tee it off in that first inning was impressive for those of us who watched him for 12 years as a Brave. But what was more impressive was what the rest of that roster was able to do in terms of showing you what your chief competitor is going to be about, because that's probably who you're going to see once again in the NLCS. So the bats for the Braves, they just have to wake up. We can't have situations where, I think I saw a stat, I just want to get this right, but literally Eddie Rosario in the 7 hole, point 0.065. Dansby Swanson in the 9th, 0.143. That's not going to cut it. That's not going to cut it. Again, I know we're early in the season, but we are talking about some of the concerns that we saw last night that are becoming a little bit more consistent than we want them to be, even at this early stage of the season.
No doubt about it. And then to add to that, Swanson went 0 for last night. Adam
Yes.
Duvall went 0 for last night. Marcelo Ozuna went 0 for last night. And that's your cleanup hitter.
Yes.
The cleanup hitter can't go 0 for. That just can't happen. I'm sorry. I don't care who's on the mound. That just cannot happen. And you think that when you think about the issues that the Braves been having early on in this season, and I'll repeat that, early on in the season, you're at a space where it just doesn't make any sense right now, given who they have in their lineup and what those guys did last year, and what those guys are capable of. We're not asking them to, go 6 for 6 and hit 3 home runs overnight. We're just asking them to be consistent. Like they've shown us before. Like we're asking them to do what they've shown us to do. And of course, the Braves take the L last night, 7-4, like you mentioned, and. Max Fried and Walker Buehler will be on the mound tonight, so hopefully Max Fried has a good showing, and Walker Buehler doesn't do what Walker Buehler normally does, and that is dominate.
Right. Because we know exactly what he could do, and we know what he could do against the Braves, and hopefully Max Fried will have a good bounce back game after giving up 3 runs in 5 innings in his last outing. But I'm sure he'll have a better one than what we saw from Husker Noah last night, who, if you want to talk about Walker and walkering and walking, he might be walking his way right out of the 5th person, out of the 6th person on that rotation. That might be a 5-person rotation, and he might be walking his way back to AAA if he keeps this up. And by the way, good luck tonight, Ronald Acuna Jr., in your debut in your rehab assignment with AAA.
Out there in Gwinnett, for the Gwinnett Stripers, we appreciate you. And one thing that I thought that you brought up was very interesting. You talk about bouncing back. We're hoping that the Hawks are going to bounce back. Are they going to bounce back? And we're going to start with Trae Young, because we all know that's where it all starts. Right here on ATL Day Ones with Jarvis and T. We'll be right back.